This is a short example of how you can use AutoHotKey to assist writing SPSS syntax. What you see here, this above here, this is my SPSS syntax window. Below this is an AutoHotKey file which has my abbreviations in it. A short overview here, what you can see is everything after the 2 colons. This is what gets replaced when I type after this part. The 0 just means don't leave a space at the end. So first let me just show you, so if I was to type SPSS non-capped, it capitalizes it for me, as you can see right here. So here's SPSS, and it says replace this with this. So yeah, big deal, but when you want to remark a command, right, I don't have to type all of this. And if you noticed, when it backed up 33 spaces from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way over to right here, which it automatically puts me where I want to be. So let's say I didn't want to use that remark command. I wanted to use my second one. This one is the second one. This is the R2. Oop, it put that inside itself. Okay, let's not do that. Alright, so this can also be used, of course, to call up syntax you've already written. So now I could easily put in my variables here, or my frequency. Right, that puts it in there. And the means command, and you notice they're backing up to where I want to be. Still not a big deal because generally these are pretty short and easy to remember. Now let's get down to where it gets a little more interesting. So things I use less often, like creating a random variable, that I just don't remember off the top of my head. I always have to look up, so this is a quick, easy way for me to remember that. If I'm going to define a matrix, this is a quick thing to define a macro that I can put in the variables in it. If I want to call up one of my macros for flagging syntax, characters in a variable, this is actually a macro call, so it's flag. This looks for anything that says @ti dot. The source is email. The type it's going to create it as this, and this is just a reminder I've built in the tutorial is this is not case sensitive, so you have to capitalize everything. Actually, it is case sensitive. I just haven't uppercased it. The flag M. Let's see what that does. So this is for flagging multiple. So what variable do you look at? Look for values, source variable. Anyway, you can easily use it to pipe in a lot of things, which you don't remember every time you're doing it. I also, because I use match files to keep a lot, so match file. So that's for matching files. Now, what if I want to keep certain variables? Right, I can type match file keep or mfd for match file drop. List the variable. So here's one for the aggregate command. I'm going to put a line break in here so you can see what's going on. So it puts all this in here, and I've even pre-coded this to say, okay, now what do I want to create? Cut, and I can put my label here, and this is all already built in, so I don't have to go write that from scratch or use the windows or buttons. So if I'm going to rename variables, this builds a nice short one for that, or sorting, because for some reason I can remember the sort case is by, so I just built that in there. Then I have a ton for exporting, so this export calls my SPSS script, which exports it to the wherever I want to go, and this is where I can name it. If I want to export it as tab delimited, that puts in the syntax for exporting as tab. Or then there's the save, export this version, which is saving the files as a tab delimited data file. There's export comma delimited, export Excel delimited, which makes no sense, it just goes with the flow. Then just for opening, so I don't have to remember if I'm going to work on some data files. So first get file equals, I can put in the path there if I want. Or if I'm going to work with a data file a lot, I put it in here, and so I can type get IABC, and it puts in the path to that. Let's see what else we got here. Here's just syntax for So it's special things also when you're sending a exclamation point, depending on how you've got that AutoHotKey set up, you might need to wrap it in the curly brackets. So the value labels, because I'm terrible at typing, this puts in there so I can just throw them in there real quick. I don't have to try to deal with the quote unquote stuff. I can call my other syntax files, so I can have it where this is set up ahead of time. So I'll show names, output show labels, or I think there's a both in there. Turning the output on and off. Set print back on and off. These are the things I use oftenly, and I just don't remember the syntax necessarily for it. Plus, if I use them so much, it's just a very short abbreviation for it. These are calling up scripts. So if I want to change the decimal places, set decimal 1, that'll change the decimal places of the table right before it to 1. Here's one for line wrapping. And then these are a lot of my macros that I've written. So let's see, factor. So this puts in call my factor macro, put it in here, put the variables here, and then I've built this in here so I can easily, what if I don't want to do equimax, what I want to do quarter max? I have that right here, so I can just plop that right in there. Also, I end up creating macros fairly frequently, but I never quite get the form, not enough to where I get it perfectly. So what I've done is built a little template here, which just helps remind me, okay, here's the basic structure of it, so I don't have to start from scratch. And then the other one, which is pretty awesome, let me get the data file over so you can see what I'm doing. And let's actually go back here and we'll get IBC. I don't know why that didn't work. Oh, it's running. It's just running slow. Now, typically when you want to grab a bunch of variables, you come in here and you copy and you paste, and then if you're like me, you don't like having all that text in here, so what I always do is put in the word to, come down here, drop this, right, and then I don't actually want that. So that's one way to do it. Or what I've done is I've used AutoHotKey to come in here. I can hit copy and come over here and hit paste, and it actually does that for me. So that saves me a lot of work of just going back and editing so I can get some nice short code. Thank you.